for vanity.
It's not for me. If our hunch is correct, in order to identify a terrorist when they return as a hostage, we need to mark them.
You know, what are you gonna do, kiss him on the cheek?
No, something they can't wash off. If I'm correct, I'll be cycled out soon. So when a terrorist comes back in with my group as a hostage, we know who they are.
Well, let's hope they don't see it coming.
Thanks for being here. How are you feeling today?
Great. I was just telling Charles, this is my kind of crowd. If I didn't become an actress, I would be working in a company like this.
You have been welcome, that's for sure. But congratulations on this show. Let's talk about Quantico a little bit. I want to get into the season, of course, but I want to start a little bit at the beginning. I mean, you guys had this amazing luxury of starting off as a cast, going through like a bit of a boot camp experience. You know, Quantico is an infamous training facility for the FBI. Tell me a little bit about that sort of dual nature of like getting to know somebody and then also getting to know them on the show, playing that, you know? Was that fun?
It's a lot of fun, and it is a very interesting experience because what we know about the FBI, CIA world, I think from the screen has been very superficial until now. We see very hot, sexy people, and we see them do those impossible action scenes. And we think that, influenced also by the culture of action movies, James Bond, all that. And when you get to really learn about this world, you realize that it's not a lot of action at the end of the day. It's more of very complicated human relations. It's all about human psychology. It's about being able to judge people without knowing them, being able to analyze from their body language, if you can trust them or not. The question of trusting becomes so important. And behind the set, we were so lucky because really it was a laugh fest, as they say in English. I couldn't wish for a better family than the one I had last year in Canada when we just met each other for the first time. Every one of us moved to shoot the first season in Canada, and many of us moved with our families, some of us without our families. And Tate and I were the only ones who were lucky enough to be with our kids, but Joe, Priyanka, Jake, Graham, Josh, Anjanu were there by themselves. They were just there for the job. So when you're alone, and this is what you do for 9 months, it's what you do 5 days a week for 14, 15 hours a day, you'd better like the people you work with. Yeah, and we were lucky enough to really love and respect each other.
That's amazing. And you guys are enacting the FBI training in the show. And then also, did you get a chance to go to Quantico? I mean, were you talking to, there are always those guys who come in those movies with, like, here's the feds with the dark glasses. Like, you guys are playing recruits. You guys are playing, you know, sort of in the initial part of their training.
We didn't go to Quantico, but we had real FBI agents come and talk to us. And I remember it being one of the most interesting conversations we had about what does it mean to do this job? What does it mean to be an FBI agent? And I remember us asking him silly questions like, do you really date and fall in love with your colleagues in the FBI? And there was, concerning me, I asked him, did you have like a Muslim girl who is veiled in the FBI? And he told me that after 9/11, it was impossible.
Wow.
It wasn't something that they would be able to embrace within the FBI world. And this is why I'm so thankful for our show, because in our show, everyone can be an FBI agent. Everyone can be loyal to this identity. Everyone can fight for the United States of America. And the United States of America is a metaphor to any country around the world. In Quantico, we like to think people can get together and do the right thing beyond their skin color and their religion. And I think it's very important, more important than ever, to say this today. I am here to talk about Quantico, but I'm also here to say why is it important to watch Quantico today with all the political changes happening, whether it's here in the US, the French people have to vote in a few months for their next president. So we really have to put our voices out there we have to fight for what we think the right thing is. And it is possible for us to do the right thing, even if we come from different places and different religions or ideologies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, you're touching on a good note here. I mean, you guys are in this show, you know, writing out scenarios that could occur here. I mean, it's a very impactful. It's happening here in downtown Manhattan. You're talking about things like terrorism. You know, it's sensitive material, and I'm sure for the writers and the creators, Josh and Mark, I'm sure that they feel a lot of weight there. I mean, are they reading the headlines? Are they trying to pull scenarios for the next season?
The writer room is really on fire, and I was just telling you that I have never seen our writers so involved, so decisive about what is it that we're fighting for, what is the story that we're telling, and why we're telling it. I don't want to say thank you, Trump, for that, but sometimes when you see when you see the result of you not participating in the decision making of your future, when you see how bad the result can be, when you are afraid about your future, about your kids' future, it's like a wake-up call. It's like, wake up, stand up, and fight for what you think the right thing is. And I think whenever this happens in the world, artists become the leaders of doing such a thing. I think not only our show, I think every show in America now have a very good story to tell, and I think they are on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
That's absolutely something to applaud. And your character in this show is especially important. I mean, like you said, you are playing a Muslim. You're playing someone who comes from Lebanon. Tell me a little bit about studying the nature of your character and how you got ready for this role.
What I love about my characters, Charles, is the fact that they are so different from each other, and at the same time they're twins. And it's a very special thing to be twins, because you're connected in so many ways to the other person. And the way this translated for me in terms of where I come from, I really wanted to show the place I grew up in. I grew up in Lebanon. My mother is Egyptian and my father is Palestinian. And I grew up in a house where women did not wear a veil. But it's a house that celebrated the Eid, the Ramadan, but our neighbor celebrated Christmas, and we all went to their house and looked at his Christmas tree, and our other neighbors celebrated another Eid. It was a Shi'i neighbor, and she would cook this special food and bring it to us. People lived each other's ceremonies. They were a part of each other's ceremonies. They weren't separated because they believed in different religions. This is the Lebanon I grew up in. And my grandfather, my Palestinian grandfather, always told me how Palestine was a place where the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims lived together. It's maybe very rare to see someone like me because I don't see many people out there telling this story, but that's my story. And when I got the script for Quantico, it was like 1 week after the North Carolina racist, hating crime. Like 3 kids were killed. They were shot because 2 of them were veiled. And I thought, if I don't step into Nima and Reina's foot and tell the story, show people in America that where I come from is not really a racist place. There are problems, yes. People are figuring out the economical, the social, the political situation and what kind of life they want to have and what kind of relationship they want to have with the world, like the rest of the world. But it's my responsibility to step in those characters' feet and show their humanity. If I can show their humanity, if I can show that they are normal people, that they can love you and they want to be loved by you, then maybe kids in America will not be afraid of a veiled girl in class sitting next to them. So this is how it started. And then I started really having fun because Nima and Reina disagree on a lot of things. And it's really fun for me as an actor to play those muscles. I'm constantly alerted, I'm constantly challenged, reminded that I'm doing two people and I have to respect the territory of each one of them and honor them as characters. So it's a lot of fun and a lot of, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, you do an amazing job of it. And I think it's really impressive, the fact that you're playing two characters and you're also sometimes playing a character who's pretending to be another character. So there's like another layer on
Third
top
person.
of it. Like a third, exactly. So, I mean, how are you, does it take you a while to get into one of their essences or beyond that? Or is it something that you can turn on pretty quickly? Is it a few, you know, sort of small inclinations that create these characters?
For any actor, we call it the Bible. The Bible is always the script. It's the lines, because this is your map. This is the map that I built on. Last year was very, very hard because we had a lot of scenes to shoot per episode and a very small amount of days. So I didn't have a lot of time for the changes. So I would have like 10 minutes to change makeup and hair and costume, step out from Reina into Nima, and sometimes we would do block shooting. It means we would shoot Nima and Reina from this angle. So I have to be Nima, and then I have to become Reina, and then I have to change again and become Nima again and Reina again. So it was a bit of a mind fuck. Can we say fuck on AOL?
Absolutely, yes. In that context, that makes complete sense.
I have been so restrained. We can't say fuck on ABC. So it was very hard for me to remind myself, Nima, Reina, Nima, Reina, Nima, Reina. It was very funny. The directors sometimes would ask me, are you Nima or Reina? Yeah. It was very challenging, but now I look back at it and I'm so proud we were able to do it. Josh was always there. I used to call him many times, what am I doing? What do you think Nima is doing here? Why is she doing it? I was always afraid of not being able to differentiate Nima from Reina. That was always my fear. It is my fear until now. And as long as I play twins, I think that will always be my fear. I just live the moment. I trust the words. And I rely on my memory of knowing them better than anybody else because they have been inside of me for 1.5 years now. So I feel more confident about who Nima is and who Reina is now. But with Josh Safran, you never know. He can always throw something on me and I'm like, where did this come from? Why am I feeling that way all of a sudden? So trying to make sense of what they do is also always a challenge. But that's, I think, the life of any actor who works on TV today.
Yeah, absolutely. And this might be a hard question, but do you find yourself liking one more than the other or playing one of them more than the other? Is one a bit more of a departure for you?
It's a hard question.
Yes.
Well, to be honest, it's easier for me to be Nima because she is more me. It's harder for me to play Reina because I know that society, I know like in my family, some of my cousins are veiled, some of my friends are veiled. The problem that I have with playing Reina on Quantico is we don't have enough time to really show all the colors of a veiled woman's life. Because a veiled woman is not always veiled. She goes home and takes off the veil. And when she takes off the veil, she's like any other girl. And I think because our show have so many stories to tell, there isn't enough, like, Reina needs her own show.
Yes, a Reina spin-off
yes,
like that.
I'm pitching that. So this is why I feel it's just a matter of easier for me to show the different colors of who Nima is than to show Reina's complete self. Although she's always, people only see her on the job. But I think it's the case of all the characters on Quantico. There are so many of them. There are so many stories we're trying to tell. We're always fighting. We want more. We want to show more.
Of course. And I think, speaking of stories to tell, let's talk a little bit about this season. I mean, the CIA is involved now, FBI,
yeah.
There's terrorism here.
Yeah, this year the CIA and the FBI worlds are definitely fighting together and working together. And in the next episode, in episode 8, the plot in the future is gonna be more understood by people. And I think when we come back from the hiatus, the show, again, because of the elections, I think the show is gonna go more precisely after what made us get to a point where we wake up to a president that we think does not represent us. How does that happen? I think the show is going to fight more fiercely than ever for what we believe is the right thing to do. You know that on our show we have gay characters, we have African characters, African American characters, Mexican characters, Chinese characters, Arab characters, Muslim characters, Jewish characters, Indian characters, white Christian characters, characters who don't believe in God. So I think we are just going to tell more Quantico than ever, thanks to Mr. Trump.
That's great. That's great. Can't wait for that. That's for sure. You know, speaking about the show, it's so dramatic. It's so intense. It's nail. I mean, your grip. You're like holding onto the chair watching this show. It's so intense. Is it something that you allow the family to watch? The family's watching, giving you. I'm sure they're asking about what's going to happen next episode. How's that experience? You know, with the family and everything.
Well, my family is worried actually. My mom keeps calling me, is everything okay? Yeah, everything is okay. I think people outside the US are more worried than people inside the US because the media definitely exaggerates a lot of things. But I honestly believe there is a great thing happening. People are talking, people are communicating more than ever. Social media is more active and more involved than ever in voicing people's concerns. I think there is a kind of moral wake-up, ethical wake-up. People listen better to each other, and because they want to understand what happened, why it happened, and how this is going to affect their lives. And the first thing I posted on my Twitter the next day of the elections is, it was inspired of my own experience, because I grew up in Lebanon, and I left when I was 19. And then I lived in France for 10 years. And so I was a refugee in Lebanon. I was another refugee in France before I became French and before I moved to the US. So I have experienced many perspectives on what does it mean to fight for your human rights, for your rights as a person, as an individual. And what I always share with people is you have to have perspective on what's going on. You can see a lot of presidents coming in and out. This does not mean that you will lose your rights. We have to separate our rights from the people, from the person. So we are aware of what we are fighting for. This is not about agendas. This is not about who will win and who will lose. It's about your rights as a human being. And I think this is what's happening. This is the conversation happening around me. And there's a bad joke that I always tell people. Americans are very lucky, and they don't know it, because in the Arab world, Charles, we have presidents that come, we don't know how they came, and they don't leave. And most of them, when they die, their kids take over. So you get to change things every 4 years in your country, and that's such a luxury. And it's such a power that you have, that it's in your hands. You just have to use it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It sounds like you're very excited to get back to set. It sounds like you guys are very excited working.
Oh, hell yes.
Is Priyanka, and have you guys been communicating? Are
Yes,
you guys
a lot.
texting, emailing, yeah.
Yes, we communicate, and I think we're more passionate than ever about the story we are telling. We believe that we are telling a very important story. We believed the same thing before the elections, but I feel that after all the changes happening, again, around the world, not only in America, the story we are telling is the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, you know, as dramatic as the show is, it can't be all doom and gloom. I mean, tell me a little bit about how you guys crack up between, you know.
Oh, we laugh. Yeah. We laugh. It's really, I feel guilty how much fun we have on set. And even when we tell the most dramatic stories on the show, there is always a line that should crack you, that should make you laugh, especially with Nima. I always tell the writers, okay, she's very bitchy, she's slaying all the time, I need a joke. So from my first scene with Jake in the beginning of the second season when he's picking up this bottle of wine, and I look at him and say, Petite Syrah, you have a lot to learn about wine. So, or get James Blonde off our back. Or, yeah, very funny. Nima always has those, or we shot a line, okay, that's a spoiler. Nima will be saying to Shelby, the FBI won't keep paying you to wear those clothes. So she always have a lot of funny lines to say, and Quantico is also very aware that we need to have sense of humor. Yes, we need to have great hair and great abs because we do talk about dramatic things, and we cannot forget the entertaining nature of what we do, and we cannot forget that people need to laugh with us when they're spending an hour with us. We're not there to hit people on their head and make them feel worst about the world. We're here to give you hope and make you feel that you're not alone.
Absolutely. Well, there's some questions out in the audience, so right there.
Hi, my name's Roxy Bannock, and I just want to say that as a young Indian American woman, I really admire you. And I was actually Nima and Reina for Halloween, which was.
I need a picture of that.
I tagged you on Instagram.
You're Nima and Reina? Oh my God.
I'll definitely tag you. I wanted to ask you, since I feel like the Quantico writers have done such an amazing job of not only cultivating a really diverse cast, but also a very elaborate story, what do you think about the lack of representation of people of color on screen, and especially having an Asian American woman like Priyanka Chopra playing the lead? How do you think that changes the landscape of American television?
I think we are. I really think we are, and I think I am lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones, because I think someone who was in the US 30 years ago had less chances to be a leading character on a main network TV. I think I'm very privileged, and I think in the future you will see more and more female actresses coming from all around the world, playing major characters, and I'm seeing it. If you read in the press, casting directors are really concerned now about being able to provide enough actors for the new projects, because now they make it I don't know what word to say. Like in each new project now, you have to have a certain amount of different ethnical representation, and I think it's great. And the greater thing that I want to say is there are more women than ever doing the job, because it's not about the color. Again, it's not about our skin color, and it shouldn't be a sexual race also. It shouldn't be how many women, how many men. I'm always very careful about that. I'm not angry. Like, you have to be very careful not to fall in the trap of being anti-man, an angry woman. You really have to still enjoy being the woman. We're not in a competition with men. We're just, I think the industry has been doing this for a long time in a certain way, and now that way is old. It's just old, and it needs to be in connection with reality. And it is happening, and I think I'm one of the lucky ones. I cannot complain to you about it, because I'm playing 2 characters on a major network TV. We are sold to 212 countries around the world. And the girl saving the day is in Priyanka Chopra. So I hope it's gonna happen more and more. I believe it is and will happen more and more.
It's amazing.
But more girls also need to write their stories. We cannot say we want the role, because someone has to write the role. And I think more women need to tell their stories in order for more women to play those stories. There is, I think, a lack of content that translates into the performance. It starts with the script. We need to empower women to write. We need to empower women to tell their stories all around the world. It starts there.
Absolutely. Next question right there.
Hey, Yasmine. When did you know that you wanted to get into acting, and how was it when you were first?
I am so ashamed to tell you. I never knew I wanted to be an actress. For me, it's the worst job to do, because for me, to live waiting a phone to ring, to live by my phone, or to live with the idea that when I wake up in the morning, what I have to do is take a yoga class, eat kale salad, and hope that I'm gonna get an audition. That's not me. I hate worrying about paying my rent. I hate worrying about having a good life. I'm not someone who likes danger. I grew up in a civil war in Lebanon. That was 15 years of my life. So for me, acting was like another war. So I always resisted the idea of being an actor, but I always loved make my mother laugh. I always loved make people around me laugh. I was a clown since I was a child. I would just imitate the old people in the family, walk like them, dance like them. I just wanted to make fun of people around me and laugh because everything around me was so sad. That was my way to rebel against sadness, to say, no, I'm not gonna let you in my life. You're not gonna shape who I'm gonna be in the future. I'm not gonna be a sad person. I'm not gonna be a defeatist. I'm not gonna grow up in a conspiracy theory. I'm gonna be different. That's all I knew growing up out, and I don't wanna take more credit for more than that. But it really, the acting came in 2006. I was studying fine art. I specialized in multimedia and live performance, and a director lived in front of my house. She became my friend. She was Lebanese. Her name is Nadine Labaki. She was writing Caramel, her first movie. And the movie was just about 4 girls. And it talked about the relationship between generations. It talked about virginity. It talked about religion. It talked about forbidden relationships, sexual identity. And for me, I'm an artist. This is what I was doing in Paris. And you ask me to tell those stories, I say yes. I don't care if it's a movie, I don't care if it's theater, I don't care if we're gonna stop people in the street and tell them, hey buddy, I have something to say to you. So for me, the medium did not count. And I think university helped me in that. What I was studying helped me in that, because in 2006, multimedia was starting to be a fashion, and our main focus was free the medium. Free the medium, whether you're doing photography or whether you're doing video or whether you're doing a sculpture or a drawing, it doesn't matter anymore. Being an artist, being an artist today is not about the medium, it's about the story. What's the story you are telling? So this prepared me, I think, to be a performer, and through that, I think just life wanted me to be an actor. Every time I would try to get another job, something happens and I go shoot a movie somewhere in the world. And this is how I am here. But I don't deserve much credit for that. It's really the universe who wants me to be here. And I'm honoring it. And you have to be aware that when you are given an opportunity, whatever opportunity it is, whether an actor or anything, any other opportunity, you have to really do the same amount of hard work. Acting is not magic. It's not abstraction, it's hard work. It's working 14, 15 hours a day on really controlling every muscle you have as a performer and whatever make you do an amazing performance. Every day you step on set.
That's great. And one last question right there.
Hi, my name is Gloria Seals. I watched you when you were on Crossbones with John Malkovich on NBC, and I just had a question with, was there anything that you took from playing the character on Crossbones and you like put it into playing Nima and Reina on Quantico?
Yeah, sometimes I feel Nima's bitchiness has to do with Salima Al-Sharrad. They both like look at men like this, like, don't lie to me. I think Nima has some of that. And that interrogating thing, because Salima Al-Sharrad was Blackbeard's right hand. He trusted her. He trusted her instinct about people. And so her job was to tell him who he can trust, who he cannot trust. And I think there is something of that in Nima.
Absolutely, guys. Well, check out Quantico Sundays on ABC. And one more hand for Yasmine, please, guys.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you so much.